Hey everybody, welcome to Test Prep Dojo's series on the GMAT. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into a few sentence correction problems that highlight some often tested issues. Sentence correction happens to be my favorite topic on the entire exam. And it's an area that trips a lot of people up, but I think it's one that can be really cool if you spend some time with it. There's only a finite number of testable topics, and so if you just are sort of systematic in your methodology of going through them and familiarizing yourself with them, there's a lot of free points available here. I will preface this by saying a lot of people struggle with sentence correction early, particularly because a lot of us are pretty good with based on our ear and just a lifetime of sort of writing and reading English. But the test makers know this, and so they carefully select questions that will punish you if you are too reliant on your ear. So, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it certainly isn't, but to have sort of an eye for grammar and writing, but just be aware of that. The other thing that's a bit tricky is for people who do have a pretty good sense for it and a pretty good ear, it's often a bit weird at first to start trying to learn rules and terminology for things you sort of just inherently know from a lifetime of reading and writing. And so it's a bit of an S curve. You'll often find that you take 2 steps back before you take a step forward. You'll feel like you're getting worse for a time, but you'll very quickly climb up to the top. And what I would say is that I think most test takers find that you'll get to a point where you'll be happy when you see a sentence correction problem on the exam. My name is Peter Mayer. I'm the founder and head instructor here at Test Prep Dojo. I'm a longtime standardized test instructor and teacher. Have taken a lot of them, and I love standardized tests. This is meant to be a supplement to maybe some of the other collateral you're using to study. It's mostly a practice resource for test takers by test takers. It's just created by a few of us. For lack of a better term, test prep nerds. It's a resource, we created what we wished we had when we were studying, and we hope you will enjoy it. Please visit our site, testprepdojo.com, for some of our free Q banks and free, resources, free videos like this. And if you need anything, if you have questions, or if you have inquiries about tutoring, drop me a line, peter@testprepdojo.com. So, over the course of my time teaching the GMAT, I've sort of come up with a system for tackling these questions. I think if you can just become very good about rolling it out and implementing it, and you're very organized, these questions will be no problem for you. So that system goes a little bit like this. The first thing you're going to want to do is read the question thoroughly. And the most important thing you're going to do when you read it is try to understand the author's intended meaning. The difference between people who are good at sentence correction and the people who absolutely crush the exam is that the ones who crush it can start to identify subtle differences in meaning that is implied by the different grammatical constructs. And so that's where it sort of becomes fun, is really, really trying to pay attention to the words, the differences, and sort of say, okay, this is what the sentence means, and this is what the different grammatical constructs imply. And when you can align the two, then it should, really increase your confidence that you've got the right choice selected. So that's 1. Read, fully grasp the meaning. 2, get really good about scanning the answer choices and simply identifying what's different. Usually these questions will come down to 2 decision points. Very often you'll be able to get one of them. One of them will be less clear or more challenging. But if you're good at this, based on that one decision point, very often you can eliminate 3 of the answer choices. You're much better off with 2 than 5 if you have to guess, or if you're using process of elimination. As you all know, the way the exam works is it's adaptive. The more questions you get right, the harder the questions they will give you, and the way you get a super score is by stringing together correct answers and then by getting some of the super hard ones right. So if you can just get to the point where you're getting some of the super hard questions and then you're getting it down to 1 out of 2, if you have to guess, you're still probably going to get one of them. If you can do that multiple times in an exam, and now you're starting to converge on a really good score. So, so that's it. Read with the intent to understand the meaning, identify the decision points, use process of elimination, and just get really good at sort of being able to scan the answer choices quickly and sort of identify those things. So here, I'm not going to read all these out loud. You can pause the video and read, but it's a sentence about the World Cup, and basically what the author is saying is that all of these people came together, billions of them, to be involved with the World Cup, and they did so through 3 things: playing, watching, or advertising. And so it's very clear from the meaning of this sentence that these 3 things, I believe they're gerunds, ing forms of verbs. You don't need to know that to get this one right. I don't know a lot of the terminology, but the point is that from the meaning of the sentence, we can see that all of these are meant to be put on an equal footing. And so that should give us confidence that this could very well be testing parallelism. And what we need to do to be able to get parallelism questions right is just to see the differences. So here in the answer in the STEM, it's either through playing, watching, or through advertising. It's awkwardly worded. There's a difference. The 3 things, although they're meant to convey the same weighting, they're given sort of different importances based on the wording. So based on that, we're going to say this is incorrect. We can eliminate that one. Answer choice B, either through playing or watching, or through advertising. Again, if you think about the meaning, the author, there's nothing about this sentence or the meaning that would indicate that this is better served by sort of removing advertising from the other 2 words. So again, it violates the parallelism, and it's awkwardly written and worded. C, either through playing, through watching, or advertising. Same idea. All the ing forms, but there's this issue with through, violates the parallelism. And so we're left with 2. We have either through playing, watching, or advertising. Playing, watching, or advertising for it. And in this particular case, the for it is out of place. It's not super clear what the it is meant to refer to. There's a pronoun issue, and when in doubt, the shorter, more concise, more elegantly written answer choice is usually right, which is the case here, and so we have our answer, which is D. Number 2, in countries such as China, the government is recognizing the advantages of a capitalist market rather than communism and adjust economic policy accordingly. Right off the bat, we can see there's an issue with adjust. There's a verb tense issue that is wrong. And so again, we have a parallelism issue. We have what is the government doing? It's recognizing, and is it adjust? No, it's adjusting. So that's decision point number 1 based on that. And based on our ability to scan the answer choices and see the difference. Adjust, 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 all gone. D and E are okay. So now we have to look for the other decision point. In fact, for this one, it's based on meaning and sort of an idiom. And so if we read it again, in countries such as China, the government is recognizing the advantages of a capitalist market rather than communism. So D sounds okay, it looks okay. Capitalist market, in E, capitalist market nor a communist market. Nonsensical, doesn't make sense, so we can eliminate E, and we have our answer, which is D. So what are our takeaways? Remember the system, read the words carefully. What is the intended meaning? Choose the answer choices where the grammar supports that intended meaning. Scan the answer choices and identify what is different. Usually there are 2 decision points. Once you've gotten some GMAT experience, there is no excuse for losing points based on parallelism. It simply requires you to go through and identify what actually looks different. Don't be super rigid about this to the extent where you lose sight of meaning. There are decisions to be made, meaning things You have to know what is meant to be in parallel with what, and to do that you have to have sight of what the author's intended meaning is. But very often you'll be able to get some freebies and just be able to knock out some of the incorrect answer choices. Thanks for watching. Again, testprepdojo.com. See you around on the next video.